Barakti Yahweh, Barakti Yahweh Shai, Barakti Yahweh, Barakti Yahweh Shai, Barakti Yahweh, Barakti Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakah, Qudash, Kal Halalim La Abanawa Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rakah, Qudash. Double honors to our apostles, elders, elder bishops of Great Millstone, and a hearty shalom to the prophets of that body, and shalom to the 144,001 Now, as you've been noticing through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahshai, you've got sellout Northern Kingdom so-called celebrities, you've got sellout Southern Kingdom so-called celebrities, and some lower level celebrities that is joining the bandwagon, trying to add their 2 cents in. Or can the Northern Kingdom say the N-word? The Northern Kingdom are taking away from the, what do you call them? Foundational Black America, right? You know, or you're not a real Latino if you don't look so-called black, you know, Afro-Latino, or but if someone's got Negro features and pale skin, but they're a white Latino, so-called white Latino, all this bullshit, all right, when ultimately you are whatever your father is. The so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are the same people if those that descend from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob paternally. It doesn't matter what your mother is. It doesn't matter what you look like. You could look like Howdy Doody. You could look like Richie Cunningham from Happy Days with that stupid look, with red hair, freckles, blue eyes. Look like a right damn demon. If your father's an Israelite, right, you are an Israelite. All right? You could look like Charlie Chan, all right? And have a right chop suey look. If your father is an Israelite, you are an Israelite. Okay? Or you could have the beautiful royal look, all right, and look like John Shaft, right? I'm talking about the 70s Shaft, not Samuel L. Jackson, all right? You could look like that. And incidentally, he's a Gadite, by the way, Northern Kingdom. You could look like that, right? I believe he's a Gadite anyway. Nevertheless, he's a Jake, right? You are still an Israelite, all right? Now, all this talk of, blacks, Hispanics are not the same people who invented hip hop, this, that, and the third. We are the same people. We copy from each other. We take from each other because we are the same people. There's a similar vibration amongst us. All right. We live in the same neighborhoods predominantly. The neighborhood that I grew up, even in the UK in London, was a huge population of Israelite foreigners and West Indians. In the late 70s, early 80s, we all hung out together. We got along. We fought the skinheads together. Yeah, there was a cultural and language difference, but we were cool with each other. We helped each other out when it came to racist Edomites. All right? But Esau, the so-called white man, is trying to divide you Jakes up, dividing up the so-called black, calling you Northern Kingdom Israelites, you so-called Hispanics, as foreigners, as immigrants, when you are indigenous to the land, calling you Native Indians foreigners when you are indigenous to the land. You got a real illegal immigrants, these Polish Edomites, these Caucasian devils from Poland, right, Russia, and other parts of so-called Europe. So-called white people coming in, but ICE agents aren't after them. They're after you Israelites. Why are they after you Israelites? You so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. The same way they were after you to vaccinate you during the C19 period, because they're trying to throw off prophecy. They've got a short time left, so they're trying to break you Israelites and not bring that union together, that marriage between the Southern Kingdom and the Northern Kingdom, where you come together as one. All right? Like pursuant to Psalms 83, they've been trying to break you down. All right? Okay? Psalms 83. All right? Let's go to keep not thy silence, O Yahweh Bashem Yashai, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O Most High Power, Yahweh Bashem Yashai. Verse 2, for lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. Verse 4, right? Salakia, Psalms 83, verse 4. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. All right? Okay? They're trying to cut you off. And these devils have a short time. All right? Revelation 12, verse 12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he hath but a short time. All right? A lot of you Israelites, you 2/3 are gonna die on this side, assuming the Hispanics are not your people. You know, you Jake's talking about that you're in a mixed race relationship if you're a so-called black man dealing with a Hispanic woman, or vice versa, a Hispanic man dealing with a so-called black woman. You're in a mixed race relationship. Most of you are just in normal Israelite relationships. All right, man. Esau, a so-called white man, says everything, and you lot believe that it's divine revelation given from the Most High power, and you just take it. You just eat it all up. You just eat it up. And you trust the same devil who's been spoon feeding you this bullshit ever since we've been in captivity under this MFA. All right? All right? And they've been showing you these signs. All right? They've been showing you, all these agents coming online talking about, the Hispanics this, Hispanics that. They're the problem. They're taking all the jobs. And you so-called black people, you Southern Kingdom, joining on the bandwagon as a so-called white man. Like the so-called Hispanics are the problem. You're not going to do the same jobs as the Hispanics do as a bulk. You're not going to do the same jobs. All those jobs are available now, fruit pickers and all that. You know, you know, mowing lawns, fixing cars, fixing houses, right? Drywall and all that. There's plenty of jobs there now for you so-called white people and you so-called black people that assume that the so-called Hispanics and Native Indians are not your people. Plenty of jobs there now. Come on, line up and start work tomorrow morning, 9 o'clock. For there shall arise false Hamashiachs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, in so much that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. All right, they're trying to deceive the very elect. They're trying to break you Israelites that have jumped into this lovely truth. The Yahweh Shemeshah has called you. You got the name. You're in the truth. Okay, you could be a possible elect member. They're trying to throw you off to make you think that Hispanics are not your people. Hispanics are the problem. So you don't. So Judah and Ephraim don't become one stick. They're trying to break you. All right, they're trying to break you. Okay, they're trying to break you so you don't become one stick. Let's go to Ezekiel. I'm going to play the video in a second as well. Ezekiel 37 and 17. No, sorry, Ezekiel 37 and 15. The word of the Lord Yahweh Shemeshai came again unto me, saying, moreover, verse 16, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write upon it, that same stick that you see our prophets and teachers been utilizing for many decades, that board which says Judah, Benjamin, Levi, Ephraim, Manasseh, Gad, etc., all the tribes. It's got Judah and then on one other side of it, it says American Negro or black or so-called African American, right? It lets you know your real title, your real ethnicity, Judah, Benjamin, Levi. Then on the right-hand side or on the left-hand side, it will have what you are called today, all right? Because they try to cut you off from being a nation. That's that one stick, that piece of wood, all right? The 12 tribes. Moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write upon it. And isn't there writing upon it? For Judah, Yahweh, Most High praise, and for the children of Israel, his companions. Then take another stick and write upon it. For Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel, his companions. Verse 17. And join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thine hand. All right? They're trying to stop that. They're trying to stop the prophecies. They're trying to stop it because the so-called white man knows, okay, as pursuant to Revelation 12, verse 12, they've got a short time. They're trying to break you tribes up so you don't come together. It's like a fist. If a hand is open, you can do some damage with it. Open palm punches, open hand punches, smacks to somebody's face, right? But if all those fingers that are one family collectively come together as a fist, doesn't that fist become stronger? right? It packs a meaner punch, as they say, right? That's what they're trying to stop doing. They're trying to stop the tribes coming together, all right? And they've done a lot. Problem, reaction, solution, Hegelian dialectic, pressure from above, pressure from below. And they're doing it in numerous ways, whether they're using these lower level comedians to break up the tribes by saying, uh, underhanded shit, right? You know, yeah? Or they're trying to spew some other bullshit, use actors and crisis actors online saying, oh, yeah, Jake, so-called black people wearing MAGA hats and shit, saying, oh, yeah, send these Hispanics out. They're the problem, And, you Jakes think that you've been there for 400 or 500 years and you're going to be okay. Well, some of the Hispanics have been there 1,000 years. Some of the native Indians have been there 1,000 years or more. All right? Look what they're doing to them. You think they're not going to come for you? Huh? You think they're not going to come for you? Well, they're coming for you. All right? Let's go here. No, that's something else. Completely something else. All right. Chicago, Illinois. A huge Chicago. A lot of our prophets and elders and teachers are from there, right? Elder Malcolm and the GMS Chicago camp, which we actually watched a lesson this morning, to sit down. All right. Elder said, be still in the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Shai. Right? Okay. And Elder Malcolm and the brothers are from Chicago. They know the neighborhoods real well. Who's who, which crews are there, which gangs are there. Because Chicago is known for gang activity, right? And there's a lot of Israelites there, a lot of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. And some of those gangs are stopping the violence amongst each other to come together. But then some of them are not, right? Judah is a lion's whelp, right? Who's going to rouse him up? Who's going to awaken this sleeping lion? Well, Yahweh Shemashah is going to wake this sleeping lion, right? I also believe, okay, let me get another something out. One second. ICE agents surrounded in Chicago with 10 cars and attacked. Something like that. Yeah. DHS says officers in Chicago fired at driver who rammed. Okay, this is one boxed in by 10 vehicles. When was this? Was this in Chicago? One second, man. All right, let's go to the main news segment, right? Okay. Now, this is what they're doing to your so-called black people. They use the excuse that they're looking for some crew called Tren de Aragua something. One second. Which is basically a Venezuelan group. All right, which is bullshit. They're gonna, they can crew. They can listen. They can make up any crew. They can, like example, ISIS. What's ISIS got to do with the Middle East? ISIS got something to do with the something to do with the Greeks, right? One second, find out who was ISIS. Who is ISIS? Okay. I mean, they can create. Who was ISIS as a person? One of ancient Egypt's most important goddesses. All right. Okay. Muslims are are against idol worship, so why would they call their group ISIS, right? But then again, Muslims don't even know who the hell they're worshiping. But nevertheless, they can create groups all the time. Al Qaeda, ISIS, they can create a group tomorrow called, um, the Red Monkeys or something, right? And they'll say, yeah, the new terrorist group called out, or the T group out called Red Monkeys. They're doing this, down the third. Oh, we're looking for them. Or they're all hiding in the black and brown areas. So they're going to use us as an excuse to put terror on these so-called black people and arrest you. And apparently, from this arrest, the arrests that they've done at this place, all right, They were looking for Tren de Aragua, right? Which I believe is at the bottom here somewhere. Um, yeah, they were looking for Tren de Aragua members, right? And they arrested 37 people. Okay, you know, if they've got like criminal records or if they've done kind of some kind of gang activity back in the day or whatever. Whether they wanted or not is another thing. But if they got a criminal record, they were arresting them. So really, they weren't after migrants. They were just after. They just needed an excuse to go in, use the Tren de Aragua as a situation to go in, and they just start arresting ninjas. That's all they're doing. Why? Because they just needed an excuse. You just think about it to yourself, all you niggas that want all this fair play and all that kind of shit. Oh yeah, we want equality. You think they give a shit about you? Do you think they would do this to a white man area? Would they do this to the small hatters and 1948ers? Do you think they'll go into their neighborhoods, right? They wouldn't dare go into their neighborhoods. These small hatters, these 1948ers got their own police, they got their own infrastructure and everything. They would never go into the area, but they treat you like that. But yet you are still want to bow down to this devil, right? Okay? Now listen to this so-called white man. You don't listen to your own people. Listen to this so-called white man, right? What he's going to say about Trump. I don't know who he is, but I found his video on his Afro Vision network. All right? I'm going to play it. Let's go. Listen to this video and see what this man is telling you about Trump.
In the last couple of days, I've gotten tons of hate mail from black Trump voters. Now, right off the bat, if you're black and you voted for Trump or you're still supporting Trump, you are delusional. If you think Trump, I've known Trump for 30 years. If you think he's pro-black people, you're completely delusional. I've been to Mar-a-Lago, I don't know how many times, and I've never seen a black person there. And Mar-a-Lago is a huge place. There's 1,000 people there when I used to go there for a fundraiser or an event. Never seen a black person. I've never seen a single black person there. Okay. Trump is not a fan of black people, but you probably didn't see this. If you're still supporting him, you probably didn't see how he snuck this in a couple of days ago. So a couple of days ago, if you're not familiar, Trump pulled back the law that kept federal workers in federal buildings from segregating bathrooms, drinking fountains, work areas from blacks and whites or any other race. Okay, it was always black and white, but that's what the law says. He pulled it. Okay, now we're going back to the days of the early 60s and late 50s, 1950s and before, where there were black water fountains, colored water fountains is what they call them for coloreds, and white water fountains and restaurants. And now in federal buildings, they can discriminate against you. Okay, let me tell you, if you didn't know that, let me tell you what's next. It's coming. Watch. The Civil Rights Act of 1964. Now, if you don't know your history, that's what Martin Luther King died for, basically. Okay, that's what John Lewis used to march in the streets for. Jesse Jackson, all these guys fought for this to give so.
And they're all sellouts. Jesse Jackson, Martin Luther King, all of them. All right, they all bought and paid for. Okay, and if Trump is ever standing next to a so-called black person and the black person is smiling like a Cheshire cat, happy and shit, it's either AI or they've got some kind of agent or some kind of fucking COON, right? Okay, who they bought and paid for and say, okay, act all happy and shit. And they'll choose a Jake that looks the most cooniest, all right, with the whitest teeth, all right, probably like a fucked up haircut or not even well groomed or whatever, you know? Someone just looks like a dope fiend, you know? And when crackers see that on TV, they say, look at that, another N word, you know? They don't care about, you know, listen, man, if you think Trump cares about you, you got another thing coming, all right? Okay, you've seen a little intro into how, you know, you've seen what happened in Illinois, right? He's coming for you so-called black people, all right? It starts with the Northern Kingdom, divide and conquer, right? Blacks, Hispanics and all that, Native Indians. Now he's moving to your so-called black people. Why is the pressure on you so-called blacks and Hispanics when the so-called white man is the biggest criminal? Why? Because listen, there's illegal migrants or immigrants, right, from every part of the world. All right, the so-called white man is a legal immigrant, right? Nobody gave him a green card, and now this cracker wants to throw his weight around. But that's okay. His time is ending anyway. You know, he's been weighed. His time is up. All right, but he's not. But the powers that be are not going for East Indians. or Arabs, that can pass, or Hispanics or natives. They can pass for them. They could easily cut the tongue out of an East Indian's mouth and say, your name is uh, Pablo Novelli or something, right? And say, yeah, I got myself a couple of $1,000 here. I got myself I got myself a colored person or whatever. That's what they could do that if they wanted to, or cut the person's throat, or just shoot them and say, yo, look, I got myself a Latino. Hey, that's another couple of $1,000 in my pocket. They could do that. And they probably will at some point. All right. But they're not going for the illegal Chinese or the illegal Japanese. They're not going for the white, the so-called white man, right? They're not going for the Polish, the illegal Polish. Elder Malcolm brought out this morning when I was watching it. I mean, it was a live in Chicago, because obviously I was coming from Chicago, but I caught it early in the morning, about 4 a.m. in the UK. Right? He was saying that he knows somebody, I believe, some Irish guy that's uh, involved in immigration or whatever. He went into like a warehouse or some kind of building where people were hiding from ICE agents, and he walked in there. There were 30 so-called white guys, 30 Polish guys hiding from ICE agents. And that Irish white guy, so-called white guy, said to them, "Oh, you guys don't have to worry. You're so-called white. ICE agents aren't after you. All right. When there's so many other different types of brown groups in this world, why is it always you blacks, Hispanics, and natives? Hmm? Now, if it doesn't correspond in your mind that we are the Israelites, right? That's the reason for all this pressure on us, all this hate on us, and the things that we've been going through collectively together as blacks and Hispanics and Native Indians over the last 500 years or so, or more. All right, but I'm talking about this specific captivity right now under the so-called white man. If it doesn't come into your mind that we're the same people, then you're bugged out. You are completely bugged out. You can't put two and two together. All right. All right. Let's see what else he's going to say.
So people could not discriminate. The guys say that's what John Lewis used to march in the streets for. Jesse Jackson, all these guys fought for this to give, so people could not discriminate. The government couldn't discriminate, citizens couldn't discriminate, companies couldn't discriminate against people of color. Okay, if he pulls that, we're headed back to 1950. And if you're black, you ain't gonna like it. Let me tell you. Okay, I don't know how many of these people that are sending me hate mail that are black are educated people, but if you know your history, I don't see how you're supporting Trump. Wake up before it's too late. It's going to take generations to pull this back together, if we ever do. And you don't want to live in a country when you're a black.
And we don't have generations left here. All right. I don't know who this devil is, right? But he's speaking some sense that Trump does not like you, so-called black people, which is true. Now, it's coming from a person who looks like this. Now, will you so-called Negroes believe now? And you Latinos, will you believe now? All right. Okay. We don't have generations left here. Okay. You Edomites are going in slavery very soon.
Black person that's circa 1940, 1950. It was not a pleasant experience. Okay. That's why the civil rights people marched and did all the things they did, because they had real guts. They weren't sitting back. Another thing I'm getting from black people is, oh, well, you can march now. We did it in civil rights. It's your turn. Are you kidding me? If you're not a wealthy white male, he's coming after you. He's coming after your rights. Women, Hispanics, military people as well. They're a minority as well. He has total disdain for the military. I don't know how many times he has to tell you guys how he thinks you're suckers and losers. He said it a million times. Okay, he has no respect for military people. He doesn't understand, and I've had this conversation with him personally over the years. He doesn't understand why people go into the military, risk their lives, basically for politicians that don't know what the hell they're doing half the time anyway. All these kids died in Vietnam, when I was growing up, and we didn't even have a good reason to be there.
All these wars and that are created just to depopulate the earth. All right, according to the Georgia Guidestones, they want to reduce the population to a controlled amount. They're trying to mimic Yahweh B'Hashem Yahshai by having control over the earth. These devils want to be all-knowing, all-seeing, knowing everything. All right, they've got the CCTV cameras in place, which is their left-hand side angels to see what you're doing. Right, they want to put the CHIP in your mind or your hand to know where you're going, what you're doing, what you're thinking. Thought police, right? Thought crimes and all that. Minority Report, the movie pops up in your mind. Okay, they want to they want to know, they want to be like the Most High. They want to control this world because they have everything else in this world anyway. They've got money, power, wealth, right? They enjoy the fatness of this earthy so-called white people. Their blessing is a sword. So next they want is control over the people. Okay, but that's why they want to depopulate the earth. That's why they've been doing it through food, through the air, through wars, right? Through demonic prayers, satanic prayers. They're trying to, you know, spew out their mouth upon everybody else, you know. But the elect are not going to be affected. Okay, all right. There's no enchantment against Jacob. All right, paraphrasing scripture there. Okay.
Okay, so there's a lot, and that's how Trump feels. He thinks you're suckers. You don't make any money. Okay, so if you don't make any money, he doesn't respect you anyway, which is obviously ridiculous. I mean,
he said, if you're not a so-called rich Edomite, so-called white male, they're coming for you, but they're going to come for everybody. All right. Jacob's trouble is everybody's trouble. The so-called white people are not going to just be sitting there left there hunky dory. Even if the so-called government or the army or soldiers don't come for them, guess who's going to come for them? Jake is going to come for them. The other nations are going to come for them. Other so-called white people are going to come for other so-called white people, because it's going to be the haves and the have-nots. All right. When you know, because it's going to come to the point where you're starving and hungry, your ethnicity is going to go out the window, man, to a certain degree. Because a group of racist Edomites will delete a rich group of Edomites, okay, and take their food, their house, their generators, whatever they have. They'll delete the men, right? And if there's attractive daughters and mothers and wives there, whatever, right? And even grandmothers that take care of themselves, okay, they're going to take you and enjoy you, all right? They're going to grape you, all right? And a lot of these foreign soldiers that are coming over, right, have never been women with women of other nations. They've been watching porn, seeing so-called black, Hispanic, Native Indian women, Italian women, women that look ethnic, you know. A lot of guys that come from abroad never been with a white woman before, you know, so-called Middle East, parts of West Asia, whatever, you know. They've been desiring to deal with Pamela Anderson since the 90s or whatever, or they've been watching old episodes of Baywatch. I'm being real. These men have got fantasies, and they're going to come here. When they see you women, nothing can stop them. There's no authorities involved, right? There is no authorities involved to stop them getting at you. They're going to grape the shit out of you. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, all right? It's going to get real out here. But the main thing is what this Edomite is saying, that Trump don't care about you, man. And he's shown it to you, all right? Okay?
military people are patriots, obviously, but he doesn't believe that. He's not on your side. Guys, wake up before he pulls every right you have. Again, I fit into the, I'm a white, wealthy male. Okay, he's not coming after me, although he'll probably come after me for doing posts like this. Eventually, he'll shut me down. He'll shut every voice down.
And your wealth ain't going to mean shit to the so-called white man, because once the financial system crashes, where's your wealth going to be? You're not going to have that power. You're not going to command that power. These white people, so-called white people, have some Edomites have a covering still, because remember, this is their world, but a lot of them are falling. And these curses are coming on them. All right? Deuteronomy 30, verse 7.
Free speech itself will be shut down. It won't take long unless we can get rid of this guy's fast.
Free speech, yeah, they're going to shut that down. Okay? They're mainly coming after the men of the Lord, our apostles, elders, and teachers, and prophets of great millstone. They're coming for them. This anti-free speech, and coming against free speech, or people saying what they want to say, is mainly to stop the men of the Lord. All right?
As we possibly can and overturn this administration. And the only way we're going to do it is that people stand up. Here's my message.
Marching is not going to help. Standing up is not going to help. All this shit ain't going to help, man.
To people, if you're one of the people that's sending me hate mail, stop sending it. I don't care. You're delusional. If you think he's on your side, you want to be delusional, you want to go back to separate drinking fountains and all the major discrimination that you never even saw before because you're too young, That's up to you. It's pretty stupid. But I'm not going to suffer for it. You're going to suffer for it. Every black person is going to suffer for it. For that matter, every minority is going to suffer for it.
You heard it yourself. Every black person is going to suffer for it. Every minority. He's talking about you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. All right? Let's go to here. Now, here's an example of what they've done. Start already with these so-called black people. Illinois is investigating after ICE raid left nearly naked children zip-tied. Government J.B. Pritzker says. All right? Zip-tied children. People, a child, a young girl or a young boy, probably come out of the shower, probably in his room, probably sleeping in his drawers or boxer shorts or whatever, or his sleeping shorts or his sleeping t-shirt, you know, right? Or you could be lying there naked with your woman, you know, lying naked in bed because you just did the do, and these motherfuckers come in and grab you up, zip tie you, and you're naked. You could be naked. Your woman could be naked. Your children could be naked, Or they dragged them through the house and their clothes came off somehow, right? This is just the tip of the iceberg that we know about, right? That we know about. Obviously, they're only going to tell you just the tip of the iceberg of what's really happening, right? Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker is directing state agencies to investigate the treatment of children involved in a recent Trump administration immigration raid after witnesses claim children were zip-tied, separated from parents, and detained for several hours. All right? An apartment building on the south side of Chicago on September the 30th and pulled men, women, and children from their beds in the middle of the night. Okay? And these are so-called black people. None of them would even assume are from Tren de Aragua, which is a so-called Venezuelan gang. Because Esau's a dumb faggot, right? They're gonna go with the look how you look. They don't know that so-called Latinos look so-called black too, right? Okay, but this is just an excuse. Or maybe they do know so-called Latinos look black too. Yeah, so certain Latinos look so-called black, certain have straight hair and lighter skin, But this is just an excuse to come at you so-called black people. All right. Federal agents were just picking up people who are brown. Look, it says here, federal agents were just picking up people who are brown and black and then checking their credentials. Mr. Pritzker added. All right. Okay. The agents arrived at the 5-story building with U-Hauls and broke down residents' doors, dragging them out of bed. Some told CNN that a Black Hawk helicopter was flying above the apartment complex. Ghetto bird. Imagine being a child wakened in the middle of the night by a Black Hawk helicopter landing in your neighborhood. Pritzker said in a statement, imagine an armed stranger forcibly removing you from your bed, zip tying your hands, separating you from your family, and detaining you in a dark van for hours. This didn't happen in a country where an authoritarian regime. It happened here in Chicago, right? Ebony Watson, a resident of the building, told WLS that children appeared terrified during the raid. The kids were crying, people were screaming. They looked very distraught, Watson said. What the hell is that outside? Clothes? Clothing and toys were among the belongings discarded by law enforcement in the hallway of the building. Looks like they undressed the children or people. I was out there crying when I seen the little girl come around the corner because they was bringing the kids down too and had them zip tied to each other, Watson added. Very rarely you see them zip tie white Edomite children or Caucasian children, but they all zip tie you blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians just like that. Approximately 37 people arrested in September 30th raid, some of whom had criminal records related to drug or weapons crimes. It's Southside Chicago, it's the projects. Yes, some people are going to have criminal records, but what they wanted. President Donald Trump has directed immigration law enforcement and other federal authorities to conduct immigration raids in Chicago, a city he has long targeted due to its sanctuary city policies. All right. Are you so-called black people getting the message now? This is going to get only worse and worse and worse. This is just the tip of the iceberg. All right? This is only going to get worse. You think it's not going to happen again? Let me see. There's 10 cars surrounded them. Let me see. The woman, along with the drivers of at least 10 other vehicles, rammed and boxed in officers because people are getting pissed off with this bullshit. People are fucking taking the so-called law into their hands. She described the shots as defensive and claimed the woman was armed with a semi-automatic weapon. All right, so some agents shot her. Agents were unable to move their vehicles and exited the car. One of the drivers who rammed the law enforcement vehicle was armed with a semi-automatic weapon. All right. Now they're saying the woman with the weapon was named as Marima Martinez. Okay. And another guy called Anthony Ian Santos Ruiz was involved in the ramming of these so-called agents. Yeah, so it's going to get real out here, man. Okay. And these are so-called Latinos that are sort of standing up and fighting against the powers that be. All right. But it's going to get to the point where Judah is going to be roused up as well. Judah is a lion's whelp, right? Judah needs to be roused up. It needs to be awakened. Once Judah wakes up, which is a head tribe, the rest of the tribes are going to follow. And Judah has been prodded right now, okay, with these raids by ICE in a so-called black neighborhood. Okay, this is only going to expand into Jacob's trouble, all right? Let's go there, man. Okay, I read that one. Jeremiah 30, verse 7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. The elect are going to be saved, but Jacob's trouble is for the 2/3 and the heathen. All right, simple as that. 2/3 and the heathen. Oh, yeah. I'm trying to find another scripture. Oh, yeah, so it's verse 21. So it's Matthew 24 and 21. All right. And this is a prayer that you, Jake, should be saying daily anyway. Matthew 24 and 20. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. Verse 21. For then shall be great tribulation, such as, for this is Jacob's trouble and beyond. This is going to get real out here. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, no, nor ever will be. So what we're coming into is some really great tribulation. All right, worse than ever in history. All the zombie movies you've seen, end of world movies you've seen, right? People starving, movies like The Road and all that, Book of Eli. It's going to be like that, but on steroids. It's going to be a really bad time. Okay, the Lord said He's not a man that He should lie. This is going to happen for real. Okay. Let's see if there's anything else. Okay, read that one. Read Psalms 83. Okay, so time is short. You blacks are hated just as much as the Hispanics, as you are the Israelites. All right. So this is only going to get worse. All right. And Jacob's trouble is coming. And you Jakes are the target. But you 2/3 are going to get got. And you heathens are going to get got. And don't forget, you heathens, you non-Israelites, you are a target too. But the elect are going to be saved out of it. All praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai Bashem Rakak Wadash. Time is short. Shalom.